What's happening, YouTube? Cowboy here, and welcome back to another Dragon Age Inquisition build video. This time around, taking a look at an Elementalist Knight Enchanter. Now, I've seen a lot of builds like this floating around. There were a couple on Reddit that I was reading through, and so in general, there's going to be a lot of similarities between this and some of the other ones I've been seeing, but as always, this one has been optimized for level 20 with what I felt were, best bang for your buck skills. In general, it's an extremely powerful build. I mean, you have really good sustained DPS, really high burst DPS, just absurd amounts of survivability through barrier generation, and all in all, it may very well be the most powerful build in the game. So, as always, we're going to go through all the skills, show you some of the items. Of course, we're going to do some solo stuff on Nightmare, and then we're going to wrap things up with some group play. So, to start, into the character record, first thing you're going to want to do is go down the Knight Enchanter tree. So obviously we have Spirit Blade, and this is going to be our main DPS ability, 300% spirit damage, so it's definitely nothing to scoff at. Additional bonus damage against barriers and guards. As for Defending Blade, while this is kind of a cool perk to see, and you deflect stuff and the shockwave goes back, in general I found that you have so much barrier generation with this build in general that you don't really need to deflect incoming projectiles, so we ended up skipping that. Moving down, we get Combat Clarity, which gives us a 50% mana generation bonus. Moving down from there, we pick up Fade Shield, and this single perk is what's going to give you so much survivability. Now, basically, the way this works is 30% of all the damage we deal goes back into our barrier, making it so, basically, as long as we keep attacking, our barrier stays up. So, pretty OP. Moving on from there, we get Night Protector, which just gives us a barrier decay reduction, because no one wants their barrier just running out in between fights. And then we pick up Disruption Field, as well as Stasis Lock, giving us a 15-second bubble that basically freezes time. Additionally, we pick up Fade Cloak, which is another amazing utility move. This one, for 2 seconds, makes us invulnerable to everything. We can pass through enemies. It also removes all debilitating effects, so think of it like our upgraded stealth for the rogue. Moving on from there, we have Veiled Riposte, which will return 20% of all the damage we're taking, while we have Barrier Up, which is 100% of the time, so in short, there's no reason not to grab it. It's just damage getting sent back to the enemies. So moving on from there, we're going to go into the Spirit Tree. We're going to grab 1 point in Barrier, which is nice, just because we can put up our barrier before combat. We're going to grab Guardian Spirit, which is a fantastic failsafe. In the off chance that we almost die, we get an instant full barrier. We're going to grab Mind Blast, just for the sake of progression to move down, and we're going to pick up Strength of Spirits, which gives us another 50% bonus to our barrier. Now, moving on from there, we're going to go into the Inferno Tree, and this is where things really heat up, no pun intended. We have Immolate, giving us pretty good AoE coverage. If you have an extra point, I'd suggest also picking up Wildfire, just to further the fire damage even more in addition to the burn per second. We're going to move down to Flashpoint, so critical hits don't trigger cooldowns. And more importantly, this one's just for progression. Into Clean Burn, which is absolutely brutal. Basically, every time a spell is cast, our cooldowns get shortened, and this does, in fact, work with Spirit Blade. So as we're just spamming our Spirit Blade away, it's reducing the cooldowns of all of our spells, which is absolutely amazing. And then, additionally, we pick up Chaotic Focus, and this is where the real synergy of an Elementalist Knight Enchanter build comes in. Basically, the way this works is half of our barrier goes towards boosting the fire spell's damage, and in addition, this gives us a barrier bonus of 50%. So if you remember, over in the Knight Enchanter tree, 30% of all the damage we deal goes back into our barrier. So basically, between that and Chaotic Focus, when we drop out our Fire Mine, it'll instantly throw us back up to full barrier in addition to melting the face off all of our enemies. So really brutal combination. So of course, pick up Pyromancer to make our way down to Fire Mine, which is considered our large single target burst, 1600 weapon damage after the 3-second delay. And we also picked up Searing Glyph for additional damage over time, over 8 seconds, and on top of that, it launches enemies into the air, giving us a nice CC option. So, it's called an Elementalist. Of course, we have perks in the other trees as well. Over in the Sturm tree, we picked up Energy Barrage, which is a nice little ranged ability. And if you have the points, I would also pick up Energy Bombardment. And then I suggest using this with a Fire Staff, which will give you the 24% magic resistance reduction against enemies that you hit with it, making your fire hit even harder. And then we pick up Conductive Current, an absolutely amazing passive with this. In general, you're going to hover right around the 30-40% mana threshold, and so in a sense, this is almost just like a static damage boost. Now, I've seen a lot of people talk about picking up static charge with Knight Enchanter. Personally, I was running this, and I never see it going off. Like, I'm actively looking for it, and I just don't see it working with Spirit Blade, so I decided to drop it out of the build. Like I said, extra points, I would get that first. I don't know, maybe it's something with Xbox, but I don't see it happening, so skip that. Moving over into the Winter Tree, we're going to pick up Winter's Grasp, which just gives us a nice single target CC effect, but more importantly, we're grabbing it for progression over to Mana Surge, which makes it so that if our barrier gets destroyed, it's going to freeze all nearby enemies and make our next spell not cost any mana. So now, if we lose our barrier, everything will get frozen. If we almost die, we're going to get an instant 100% barrier, and on top of that, all the damage we do will generate our barrier, and our barriers will make our fire spells stronger. So all in all, this whole build is just based around incredibly powerful synergy between all the trees, and it really does come together quite beautifully. Hopping over into the inventory, there's a couple things you can do. I would suggest a fire staff, obviously, especially if you have the upgrade to energy barrage, but obviously the flanking damage bonus isn't going to help us here because we're not going to be flanking while we're playing solo, but in general I would go for attack and flanking damage bonus to maximize and hit as hard as possible. And as for our masterwork, I would suggest on hit gain 3 guard. Now, in regards to the masterwork, the main reason I'm going to go for on hit gain 3 guard is because I'm always playing on Nightmare, and when you're playing on Nightmare, survivability is king. So I already have all these ridiculous spells that are going to help me survive longer and, you know, let me outlast my enemies. Having on-hit gain guard on both your weapon and your armor will make it so that in the off chance that somehow something gets through your barrier, you also have guard in place ready to soak up some damage, just furthering your survivability even more. And I mean, obviously, you know, I soloed the one low-level dragon after the party wiped with Vivian before she was really spec'd like this, but I've heard reports of people like soloing the level 20, 25 dragons on Nightmare by abusing Knight Enchanter with on-hit gain guard, just making you an unstoppable tank of ferocity, basically. So that is what you want to aim for on your weapons. Just for building towards the future, because obviously we all level up. Like I said, if you want to increase your AoE capacity, I'd suggest picking up Wildfire to make that burn even higher. If you don't have a lot of room for other abilities here, so I mean, I've heard some people suggest Fade Step. If you want the mobility, you could say pick Fade Step and put that in place of Winter's Grasp, and then you could pick up Winter Stillness. I haven't tested this, but I don't think it works if you keep casting Spirit Blade, so keep that in mind. Obviously, if you want the burst from Decloaking Blast, you could put the point in there. However, this doesn't work very well with AI, so if you have a Vivian using this spec and you're not controlling her, I would suggest skipping that completely. And a really important one I'd suggest working towards would be down here to get Rejuvenating Barrier, just because the extra 35% mana generation will help quite a bit, but obviously you need to get past Dispel and Peaceful Aura to get that first. Peaceful Aura being especially useless because you're basically a mage tank with this build. So, alright, now to show you guys how this works, let's head on over and defeat Carol. So first thing we're going to do is piss off a bunch of these enemies. Get them all interested in us, get them to come on over. So we got a good little amount of guard on hit from that one ability. And in general, let me stealth her. I don't want her getting in combat. Her AI is turned off, so she'll just be sitting there. But in general, what you want to aim to do is group up your enemies. You're a much better fighter when everything is grouped up nice and tight for you. Oh boy, they are coming at me hard right now. That's the thing, you are all about your barrier. If your barrier is falling down, shit's gonna go south real fast. So we're gonna freeze them, put a mine down, and then we'll start going to town on them. And there's the fire mine. You can see they're all up, frozen in the air. We already have fire mine back up off cooldown. In general, you should be using fire mine pretty much as soon as you can for the most part, because fire mine, not only is it going to give you full barrier as you saw right there, but it's going to be your real DPS push. So this dude is getting a little happy there, and it looks like I also have something coming after me. So we're going to hang out in this fire mine here if they ever come over. I saw the shadow a second ago. Now I don't. Of course, now it doesn't want to come out and play. But that's fine. We also have ranged options, you know. We're not just about melee. If stuff wants to sit at range, we can also do that. That's for you. Enjoy that. Juked. Juked. I think there's 2 shadows over there, so I'm kind of hesitant to run straight over and jump into combat. Yeah, there are. God, I hate those fucking things. So let's treat them right. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Are you guys frozen in my bubble? They're moving pretty damn fast considering they're in this thing, I gotta say. And another fire mine for you. Enjoy this. Boom. Get down. I think that's left is just Carol. Inquisitor, get back in stealth. You're not supposed to be doing anything. I'll just let him kill her, whatever. So it's just you and me, Carol. Go on, kill the Inquisitor. Inquisitor's not even fighting, and this guy's having trouble killing her. Come on, bro. Tell you what, let's start things off with a bang. He hit hard. I'll give him that. Boom. And let's back up a little bit. More fire for him. You can see I got the flashpoint up, so I'm gonna get a fire mine out here. I don't know what he did right there, but that was annoying. Come on, walk into the mine, you douche. Fuck this. You wanna go? You want to play the face tank game? Okay, maybe he can out face tank me. But he's not walking into my mine. That is the main problem here. There you go. Now he's walking into my mine. Like I said, never really fun to try and solo shit on Nightmare, but right build you can do it. And that's another problem right now. My Vivian is kind of built for to be a party healer at the moment. So, less than ideal in her healing capacity for the time being, or her damage capacity, I should say. Oh, come on, bro. There's the fire I wanted to see. Die, you little bitch. One more fire mine to wrap things up. Boom! Carol goes down. Puppet Master completed. No loot, really? No loot off that guy? What a crock of crap that is. So, before we wrap things up, we of course are going to show you how this works in a group dynamic. Now, one important thing I want to note is that if you are going to play your mage this way, I'd also suggest having one other mage in your party. And the reason for that, obviously if you've watched any of the walkthrough, you know that I've had Vivian focusing purely on spirit, and there's a lot of really cool support things here, like rejuvenating barrier, you know, dispel along with transmute magic, peaceful aura to keep aggro off of her, elegant defense, and most importantly probably revival and life ward. And going into the tree like this, where you're an elementalist and you have perks from all the trees at the same time, you won't have enough spell slots to support these heavier support moves like dispel and revival, which are both very important moves in my opinion to have in a party. So if you're going to play this yourself, I would suggest bringing along another mage. Obviously, the time being, I don't have a dedicated heal mage, which might make things a little bit rough, but assuming we had a dedicating heal mage, the main way to play this, you would only be dropping your barriers for yourself and for people that are about to get nuked. Aside from that, you'd be picking off key targets with your fire mines, doing what you can. These guys are like really derping it out over there for some reason. Oh man, that's good. They're all just getting like torched. I don't know why, but I want to go down there and assist. You look as though you could require some assistance from my lightsaber of justice. lightsaber really is brutal against demons. In general, I feel like spirit damage is definitely one of the higher damaging things against enemies of that nature. But I mean, like you saw there, you know, we pretty much went in, dropped a fire mine on them at the start. That got our barrier right up. And after that, we just approached and slaughtered. And like I said, basically, as long as you keep swinging Spirit Blade, you'll keep that barrier up. So another thing that I really like to do is to, you know, get enemies ahead of time. Like, we got a Fear Demon coming in right here. He is not going to do anything. He's going to die before he even knows what happened. You can see the mine going off. His health just got absolutely demolished. We will toss out a barrier for the rest of the team, just because we're nice like that. And it really is a fun way to play mage, you know, because in general, mage is the class that's, you know, you're sitting in the back, you're doing lots of spells, and you're squishy. And that's the one downside of mage. But with a build like this, you know, we still have those cool spells. We can still do the fiery explosions and things of that nature. But at the same time, we're able to get up front and just absolutely saw through people with Spirit Blade, making it, in my opinion, one of the most fun classes to play. I mean, I know I haven't even really done much on my mage playthrough between working on the walkthrough and the drunk through, but when I'm finally done with the walkthrough and I start making progress on my mage, that's exactly how I plan on building him, because I think it's awesome and I absolutely love the playstyle. So either way, guys, that is it for this build video. In terms of what you guys can expect next, more than likely it will be my two-handed Reaver tank build that I use with Iron Bull. So keep your eyes out for that, and we'll see you guys next time with another Dragon Age Inquisition build.